Hey everybody, welcome back to the IHC Craft Room. Today is live number 18 in the Sweetheart Season series, and we're going to be making some wood heart magnets. I'm super pumped to do this. I make them every year because they're so much fun and they're so beginner friendly. So we're going to get started by painting a base coat because, you could dot directly onto the plain wood if you like. It would look just as lovely. But I am going to paint one. I pre-painted these, so we'll dot them shortly. And basically, we're just going to go with the flow and do whatever feels nice. And then once they're nicely dry, we're going to go ahead and add some magnets to the back so that we can put these up on our fridge or, whatever place you want to put them that is magnetic. So I'm going to put a glove on because I am a princess and I don't want to dirty my hands. And I'm going to paint this one tropical blue because why not? So I don't know how many of these we're going to dot paint tonight. I have no idea how long it's going to take. I really suck at planning things like that. But probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. Hang out, chill. We'll have a chat. It'll be fun. Okay, so I'm going to paint this with a little bit of acrylic paint. Generally speaking, if I am painting wood, I try to use chalk paint, only because chalk paint is really thick and it fills the cracks and levels things out. And if your wood is a little rough, it'll help kind of smooth out the surface for you. So chalk paint's really nice, but I only have white and black chalk paint. So we're just going to have to live without it. It'll be fine. This is a really beautiful blue. I get all of my paints from Dollarama. They used to cost $1.25, but I think they're probably $2 now, maybe more. I don't know. Didn't I just buy? I just bought a black one. I don't remember how much I paid for it. It's so rare that I replace my paint. It really stretches for a long time. Okay. That's enough. That's enough out of you. All right. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. And we are going to start dot painting on some of the other ones. And I'm going to move my light a little bit because I feel like it's blowing out the color. Because this is blue. It's a tropical blue. It kind of looks gray to me on my screen. Oh, well. Anyway, so paint your base with whatever color you like. And feel free to paint the back as well. That's totally your call. I don't because I don't care how the back looks. But if it's something that bothers you because they are, well, I'm a messy painter. So, so they all have a little bit on the back. And I don't particularly care. If you do you, boo. Okay. So which one should we start with, guys? I think I'm going to start the pink one. So I have literally no plan for any of these. I just thought we'll make some fun stuff. So before we get started, I'm going to be using my dotting tools, my styluses, and this is what I use to pop bubbles. Now, if you don't have dotting tools, worry not. Dot painting is very easy to achieve with things from around your house. So number one, toothpicks, really, really good for tiny dots. Q-tips, good for medium size, small dots. You can pull the cotton off or you can use the cotton. They'll give you different size dots. I highly recommend if you have any paintbrushes to check them out because they generally have different sized bottoms that will give you a different dot. I've used things like shish kebab skewers and I've often used this glue stick, the top of a pencil, the tip of a pencil, whatever. If you think it could give you a round dot, give it a shot. You know what I mean? And then if you really like dot painting, you can pick up a set of these styluses, but you can do it without that. So worry not. Okay, so what are we going to do? I don't even know what colors I want to use. I think I'm going to start with white for this one. It's screaming at me that it wants some white. Should we do this one as a mandala? I think I will start with a mandala. Okay, so here's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do this as a mandala, and I'm going to do it all white, no other color, because I'm going to set it aside and we'll work on the other ones, and we're going to come back and top dot with the same pink. And that'll be really, bam, pink in your face, in your face. So I'm going to start off with a large dot actually in the center. So I'm going to grab my other dotting tools. Now, I would compare this with the top of a pencil eraser like that, maybe, but I think I'm going to go a little bigger than that. I get these rod dotting tools from a company called Happy Dotting Company. I think she's based out of the UK, and I get my rock molds for those from her as well. Beautiful store. She does a great job with her customer service. Check her out. Happy Dotting Company. And I think you might even be able to buy these tools off of Amazon. So, you know, have a look. Anyway, I think I'm going to go with, I feel like I want to do a big dot, actually. A 10? Yeah, we're going to do a 10. Okay. So I'm going to move. I am going to, I'm going to use number 10, which is quite large. And I'm going to actually, we're going to do, I've done a version of this before, but on the other side. I think I did it on the left side. And I really enjoyed making that raw. It was an art stone, and Mary from the future in the replay will put it in the corner up here if you want to check it out. But we're going to go with a similar style, which is we're going to have this big dot. We'll do a few rings around it, and then we'll make some bigger rings leading out of the place. I am popping bubbles. I highly recommend you do the same any chance you get, because if you don't do it, they're going to pop on their own anyway. And then it might not pop in a way that you like, or it'll dry that way and it won't be fun. All right, so we're going to use what? I'm going to use 2.5, the 2.5 millimeter, and I'm going to do a cross shape like this. Because as you can see, I did not put down any guidelines of any kind. We are flying by the seat of our pants today, which I really enjoy. Okay, now we're going to put right into the middle of those two dots another dot. This is an easy way to try to keep at least a little bit of some symmetry in your circle without worrying. Doing this cross formation and then splitting it in half and half and half makes it easier. So do we want to do a smaller size dot in the middle or a bigger size dot? I think I want to make a bigger size dot in the middle. So I'm going to take my 3 millimeter green. I'm going to try to pick up a lot of paint, which I probably be able to because this is a pretty thick paint, this color. Okay. That's serious. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm still going to do the cross formation. At this point, you wouldn't really need to because, you know, you're basically just filling this, the gaps, and it'll already be symmetrical. But it doesn't hurt, right? And then it also gives you the opportunity. Do you want to do another big dot in between, or do you want to do something else there? Gives you a chance to make it an even more intricate pattern if you want. But I don't. I want to put so since we want to do white and pink, I'm going to decide if I want to introduce a baby pink? Or am I just going to stick with straight white and like this vibrant? This pink is called Tutti Frutti. I like that. Do we want to fill it in a little bit? Like maybe in those spots in between the big dots, what do we want to put there? I say we just put in a small dot. So I'm using the top of this one, which I believe the tops of all of these dotting tools is 1.25 millimeters. I mean, they're definitely the exact same. But whether they are 1.25s, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Okay. I like that. Now, you don't need to move your project around the way I'm doing it. You could totally just, you know, move your hand around the pattern. I suck at that. I end up putting my dots wonky or crooked or not in the right spot. For me, I need to be looking at it head on so that I'm already a little crooked to begin with when I do things. So I don't want to make my life more complicated than needed, you know? But if you want to keep it in place, go for it. Do you? Okay, that looks great. Super cute. Mi piace. I feel like I'm done that area, and we're going to move on to, I'm actually kind of debating if I want to do a small dot circle all the way around, but that's going to be hard to keep as like a really nice rounded circle because I don't have it drawn in. And if I'm going to do it freehand, there's a really good chance I'll do it a bit wonky. So I think I'm going to leave that alone unless I change my mind later. And what I'm going to do now is I want to do some arcs. Okay. And again, do I want to draw them? I could. I have a chalk pencil. I could draw like a little line, but I don't want to. I wanted to do this freehand and see how it looks. So we're going to go for it. Where do I want it to start? Like here? We can curve it this way. I would say maybe all the way around it so that we're curving like that would be good. So then it mimics the curve of the mandala that we just made, right? Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go from the peak here. I'm going to go down and around to the edge here, and we're going to just keep like making, I don't know how many I want to do. We're going to see. I'll start with this number 3, but I want to do them different sizes. So they're going to be different size dots. Do I want to start with the number 3 or do I want to do something bigger first? You know what? I think I'll do something bigger first. So let's go up to like a 4. This is a 4.0. Okay, we're going to see. First of all, I already know I need more paint in here. And I'll tell you why this is necessary. While you don't need a lot of paint in general when you're dot painting, you don't want the pool of paint that you're dipping your dotting tool into to be shallow and scraping it and trying to like make it work. That's not what we want. You want a nice deep pool of paint so that you can decide how much paint you want on the dotting tool, whether that's an abundant amount like what I'm doing right now, or if you just want a teeny tiny bit, but you need that pool to give you that option. I'm not sure if I want to do it from the peak because maybe I feel like it'll be too close to that. Maybe I'll do it here. And then we're going to curve it that way. I think so. Okay, let's do that. So I'm going to put it here. Yes, I like that size. Now, again, definitely use a chalk pencil if you're not, you know, as extra as I am. Because I just didn't feel like it. Honestly, because as much as I like using chalk pencils for dot painting projects, am I curving enough yet? Yeah, I think so. I really struggle erasing them. I mean, eventually I get it all off and it's fine. but it's annoying and I don't want to have to deal with it. Oh, see, I didn't get enough paint on that one. So the things that impact the size of your dots, if you are new to dot painting, there are a few things. Number one, obviously, probably the most obvious, is the size of your dotting tool. Okay, so now we need to make a decision. And am I going to dot? Yeah, I can fit one there. I don't think it's even going to go off the edge. But if it needs to, I will let it. No, that's good. Bueno, mi piace. Okay. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, the size of dots. Number one is the size of the actual dotting tool you're using, obviously. The second is the amount of paint you get on your dotting tool before you try to dot. And the third is the amount of surface that your dotting tool touches on your project. So if you barely touch it, it'll be a tiny dot. If you slam it down really hard, well, you're a little aggressive, so chill out. And also it will make a bigger dot. Okay, so I'm going to go in and fill these a little bit later with tiny dots, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a bit. But first, let's do another row. And we're going to do it with this smaller size, this 3 millimeter. I wonder if I should turn this sideways. It might be easier for me if I do like this. But then I should have gone this way. That's okay. We'll do it this way for now. We'll go the opposite way on the way back. Just because I'm right-handed and it's easier for me if I'm going left to right. So you see, I'm grabbing quite a lot of paint. And when I don't like the size of my dot, I go back for more. I've actually started making them much bigger. Look how much smaller that one is from that. See, you get carried away. Pay attention to what you're doing, Mary. So I'm going to intentionally make that one smaller. So it's like we gradually got bigger and we're going to get gradually smaller again. There we go. That's all. Ooh, get off my finger. I mean, it's not straight, but I think it's going to look pretty in the end, so I'm not concerned about it. Should we do a tiny row next, or should we do... Let's do a pattern. What if I do a few big ones and then tiny ones? Let's do that. So I'm going to go with the top of this. And then how big of a big do I want to do? Like a 4? Maybe we'll do a 3.5. Actually, the three from this stylus versus these rods, I feel is different. So even the 3 might be bigger. But we're going to start with the top, and we're going to go with a small dot. Oh, no. Didn't I say I was going to do it sideways? And go left to right? Okay. So I'm going to start with 1, 2. I think we'll do 5. 3, 4, 5. And then we'll do a 3.5. It's going to be big. That's really going to stick out now. So that'll be wonky. Oh, well. Maybe I'll bring myself down from it now, or a little further out. We'll just go a little further out. 3, 4. I hope if you are trying dot painting for the first time, or you're still new at it, that you can see that even, like, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I used to watch dot painting artists that were so good, and there's so many really good ones. And it used to, like, I don't know, psych me out, I guess, because I was like, oh man, I'm never going to be able to do that. They make these dots so close to each other, and these swipes are so close to each other. It's like, who can do that? And then I realized I don't have to do that. I can just do whatever I want. It's mine. So that's what I hope you get from this channel, if nothing else. First of all, we can fix it if it goes wrong. And secondly, as long as you like it, who cares? Like, come on. We're just making magnets, guys. Calm down. All right. I like that. I think I'm going to stop there. I don't want to go all the way to the edge. I want to leave a little bit of negative space, as they say. But now I want to go back and we're going to put in those tiny dots I was talking about. Sorry, off to the side, I have a wet rag. I use this to clean off all of my dotting tools as I go. Highly recommend it. I have 2 of them here because I'm really good at getting paint on my hands. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I want to put in some accent dots, and I think I'm going to use a light pink. Now, I have a few light pinks from a project that I did a little while back of a keepsake box with this really cute little teddy bear holding a bunch of hearts. Was it that or the penguin? I don't know. I made so many cute things recently, but Mary from the future will figure it out and she'll put them in this corner back to back. Okay. So have a look if you want to watch one of them. And I made all of these pinks that I now, because these little jars that you get from the, yeah, I forgot about this one. This one's like, I'm going to throw it away. I can't open it. I don't know why I keep trying to open it. Like I think I'm going to change something. Or this one. So we've got a light, I think it was the penguin, not the teddy bear. It was the penguin. It was the penguin. It doesn't matter, Mary. Focus. Okay. I'm going to use, I think I want to use this really light one as an accent. So thanks. And what we're going to do, I don't know if I want to touch this at all, but I kind of want to just so I can link them all together. So I'm going to get a smaller dotting tool. I'm going to go for my 1 millimeter. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to put one small pink dot right here, where this big dot is, and between these 2 small ones from the first row. I think that's what we're going to do. Let's move you out of here. Hey there, Tony. Thanks for joining. We're making some magnets today. All right, so we're going to do a little pink dot. A little teeny tiny pink dot. You can't even see that it's pink, I'm sure, on the screen, but I can totally see it here. Thank God, because I have the ability to see color. Brava Maria. So it's very faintly pink, but it's beautiful. I like it. It works for me. I think I'm also going to put a dot between each of those dots in the top row. Let's do that. So right here and here and there. So flanking or like between them. That one's a little bit too small. Got to get a little bit more paint on my dotting tool if I want my dots to be a little bigger, but these are supposed to be small, little white, little pink dots. Now, again, you can stop at any time. I'm adding a few more things in. I'm kind of like closing up the mandala a little bit. You don't need to do that. Like, just do what makes you feel happy. Do you like the way that looks? Great. Keep doing it. You don't like it? Get a Q-tip and wipe it off. Try something else. I really struggled with coming up with my own patterns when I first started dot painting because I was really overthinking it. I would sit here and agonize over what I should do next. And I do that occasionally still just because I'm married. But I mean, really, I just go, what if I do this? Yeah? Okay, I'm going to try that. If it looks good, great. If it doesn't look good, I won't do that again. Okay. That's cute. I like that. I'm going to leave it alone because we're going to top dot all of these big dots with the same pink as our background here. So I think I'm going to leave that alone. And now what I'm going to do is I want to put a dot in between each of these big ones. This is one of my favorite things to do, is to add a small dot right in between or on each side of these larger dots. And it's really such a pretty pattern. And it closes that up, that little gap up a little bit, and it just makes it look really finished and polished. I do this quite a lot, and I highly recommend it. It's easy, and it's a great way. Like if you're a little insecure about how much space you have to put between your dots so that you don't accidentally have them running together and turning into a blob dot, then leave more space, and you can use filler dots like this one to make a pattern and then kind of disguise the fact that you use the extra space, you know? But personally, I don't care about the background peeking through. I like that look. I think it looks pretty. I'm not concerned about leaving big spaces. As you can see, I've left several big spaces here. I think it looks nice. And it's easier. I'm not about stressing myself out, guys. Life's hard enough. All right. Tell me that doesn't look so cute. Beautiful. I'm going to do the same thing to this row, but I'm going to go down in size on my dotting tool. So for this, an example I would use if you're dotting with things from home would be a toothpick. I would consider these pretty comparable in size. So grab yourself a toothpick if you want to do this as well. And I'm going to go on either side up here first. And as you can see, I go back after every dot to my paint. And the reason for that is because I want my dots to be as uniform as possible. So all of the factors we talked about before apply: how much paint I get on the dotting tool, how much of the surface I touch of the dotting tool onto the project, the dotting tool size itself. All of these things are factors, but also going back in between dots is absolutely imperative if you want them to be the same size. If not, you're just going to have dwindling paint on your dotting tool, and they'll get smaller and smaller, the dots, which is great if you want to do a walk the dots technique. But if you're looking to have dots that are identical in size, then you absolutely want to keep going back and refilling your dotting tool. However, there is a caveat to that, which is eventually the paint is going to start building up on your dotting tool, and that's going to force you into having a bigger dot than you originally planned. So highly recommend cleaning your dotting tool sporadically if you feel that you're in that situation. Very cute. Me gusta. Now, we're not doing anything on the other side of this, but I do want to tie that little bit of light pink in. So I think what I'm going to do is just put one dot on. Do I want to do that? I don't think I'm going to do anything with that. I'm going to leave that alone. And if I decide in the end I want to add some extra pink in, I will. So for right now, I'm going to say we're paused on this one because we're going to come back and we're going to top dot it next with some of the same pink that we're using for the back, which is this Tutti Frutti. Okay, so I'm going to scoot you out of the way. Merci. And we're going to move on to the white heart. What color should we do for this? Oh boy. I don't know. Do you guys have any special requests on what colors we should do on this one? I'm thinking I'm going to do, this is called Mint Breeze, but I consider this like a turquoise, like a greeny turquoisey color, which I rarely use. So I think that's what we're going to do today. What are we gonna do with this? So I don't know if I want to do another mandala style. I think I will for this one, but the next two will do something different. So I think I'm going to start with, I'll go right in the center for this one. Oh, you know what I forgot to tell you? After you finish your base coat and you've let it dry, you're going to want to put a layer of varnish on top of that once it's really dry. And the reason for that is if we make a mistake and we want to clean it off with a Q-tip, this varnish is really going to save your paint so that if you happen to, need to scrub it a tiny bit with your Q-tip, you won't peel the paint off, All right. I want to use a big dot for the center here. And I mean big, big, big. So let's go like a 12. I want it to be like a huge dot in the center. Maybe 13. 13 for Tay-Tay. I think so. Wee. Now I'm definitely going to need a lot of paint for this dot. So you want to make sure you have a lot in your palette because this is a huge dotting tool. And if it doesn't get enough paint on it, I'll end up with a sickly looking dot. It'll look sickly. All right, I think I'm going to go like right there, like center stage. I want to make sure I get a nice amount of paint on my dotting tool. All right, here we go. Beauty. I like it. I'm actually going to even not touch it any further. I'm happy with that. What I will do, though, is I'm going to, when you have a big dot like this, there's a couple of things you need to be aware of. Number one, you'll probably have a couple of bubbles in there. So if you have a toothpick, you can totally pop your bubbles with that. Another thing is if you're painting in a room that is a little bit chilly, it often does happen that the outside will dry faster and then the inside will end up cracking, which is unfortunate. And I have that happen to me from time to time because I do this in my basement. So a way that I kind of have combated that a little bit or countered that is by using a dotting tool to kind of spread the paint out thinner all the way across more so it's even so that it will hopefully dry at the same pace. But who knows? It's a mystery. All right, what other color do we want to use for this? What is the contrast color we're going to use, guys? Should we do like pink or should we do like black? I'm thinking maybe black. That sounds pretty cool to me. We're going to do black. Okay, just a little bit. So for this one, instead of dotting around this large circle, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a curving swipe, which I don't do very often. So we'll see how that goes. And basically that means I'm going to put a dot and then make a tail thin itself out all the way around this dot. So I'll start with a 3. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to put the dot right here. See, I'm not quite at the center, eh? I need to change that. How am I going to change that? I'll just make the dot bigger. So I just made a mistake. I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix it. So the mistake that I made is that my dot is not level with that peak right here. So it's obvious to me that it's wrong. Maybe somebody else might not notice it, but I will. So what I'm going to do is I could have tried to take it off with a Q-tip, but considering black on white might be a little messy, I'm just going to cover it with a big dot. So now it's in the spot it needs to be. And we are going to pull this around and down. So I'm using the top of my smallest tool and we'll see if we need to thin it out after. And I'm just going to start pulling. Okay, I'm going to thin this out. So I'm going to switch to the other side of this dotting tool. And I'm going to try to bring this down and around. Okay, I want to level this out a bit. I'm going to take a little bit of paint from the palette. I want to straighten this out a bit because I'm not loving the shape that it's turned out. Okay, good. I like that. Oh, careful that you don't get paint on your finger and then rest it on your project. That will end badly. That's nice. I like it. I want to make that a little bit rounder. Beautiful. Now what we're going to do is the exact opposite. I'm going to now I should just clean this off. I don't know why I have it sitting there like that. Oh, because I started with that. That's why. You see, just pivot. I mean, this was not my plan. I didn't really have a plan, actually, but it was not this. So we're going to see how it plays out. I want to get a nice amount of paint on here. And then we're going to go right about there. Okay. I'm going to use the small one, put a little paint on it just so that I'm not pulling dry paint or pulling across dry wood. I'd like for this to curve a little more. So as you can see, I'm just kind of like pulling it and trying to make the shape that I'm looking for as best I can. Almost using my dotting tool like a paintbrush or a pencil, actually. I want this to be a little more rounded. That's good. Now the end needs to be a tiny bit thicker. There we go. Let's see. Well, isn't that cool? Woohoo, I like it. Now, should we put a dot in the between them? Like here and here? And then what? We're going to leave it alone. And I think we'll do some swipes everywhere else. That'd be super cool. Okay, I'm going to put, do I do a black one or should I do a different color? What would the other color be? I've got light pink. I've got lavender. I've got red. But I feel like I want to stick with this black and teal. If I'm liking it. So, okay, I'm going to stick with that. And let's go with a 5.5. Let's see. That might be a bit too big. A 4? No, I think I liked the 5 better. Oh, that was 5.5. Let's see if I can find my 5. Wow, that was actually the fastest I've ever found a tool I was looking for. Oh, okay. I think I'm going to do a nice dot. Actually, I'm making it smaller than this tool can make. This tool could make it a lot bigger, but I'm noticing that I don't want it to be that big. So I'm making this dot smaller than it should be based on the tool because I'm not letting the dotting tool touch the surface much. That's how I made this dot a little bit smaller. I held it back a little bit. I'm not really sure how else to describe it than to say instead of placing the dotting tool hard and flat, surface to surface completely, I'm actually just barely touching it. And that means it's only getting a little bit of paint on the surface. I hope that explained it a little better. Now let's see, what can we do? I think I'm going to do random swipes like that. What was the size that I used for that? Was it the 6? I don't remember. No, maybe it was the 5. We'll start with the 5. Oh no, I said turquoise for this one. So I'm going to go, let's do it opposite of what you would expect. Like you would expect me to do it here and go this way, right? So instead, let's go here and we'll go that way. Yeah. This is going to be a weird one. It's going to be a weird one. I'm good with that. I like weird ones. I don't want to go with that side. I'm using the top of this, which is, again, I think it's a 1.25. I want to curve it this way. And I want it to curve. Yeah. Doesn't that look pretty? I'm not touching the bottom of that. That came out really good. I have a bubble there. Okay. Maybe I'll do one here and go this way. Do I want to do teal for that too? I think so. And we'll do some little black ones after. So we'll do different than the other side. Okay. I don't think I'm going to need this again for a teal. Okay, so okay, we want this to curve a bit, and I'm not really curving here. Okay, I'm going to make this curve end up so close to the black one, but I'm going to have to because I just didn't curve it enough. So I'm going to actually pull out the 0.8. So I want to make this really thin, and I don't want to have to do it more than once. So I'm going to try to pull careful with that pinky, Mary. This one's just not coming out the way I want. It's not curving the way I like. What can I do to fix that? What can I do to make you curve a little more? Should I make it fatter over here maybe? Let's try. Well, it worked a bit. Maybe I could smooth this out a little. Oh, stuck to my finger. I like it. Okay, so what are we going to do next? I think we're going to do some black now, and I'm going to do, again, some swipes, but smaller. So I'm going to do a 3 millimeter. Maybe we'll curve it around. This is a great way to practice making things like swipes. Sometimes I do them really well, sometimes not as much. I highly recommend you practice things like this by making projects like this, like making a cute little, magnet, and practicing your swipes is going to get you to master a skill and make something pretty at the same time. So, go for it. I think it's a great idea. Okay, you need to stop moving. Beautiful. That's great. I'm going to do one right here. And then we're going to put a couple of just dots. And I'm going to call this one good because I like it. Me gusta. And you know what? I'm going to curve this one this way, I think, instead of this way. Oh, no, I think I like it better this way. Let's do it in this direction. My cleaning rag is getting gross, and I'm going to start making messes. Beautiful. Love it. What do we do next, guys? I don't know if I want to do any more swipes or if we now just do some dots. Or do I want to do a couple of small turquoise ones like over here? Maybe just one. Forget about a couple. Maybe just one. Oh, what if I did one on each side and I swipe them down to the center and they touch? I don't like that. It's going to be too much of almost like a trim. And I'm trying to make this a little bit more sparse. Maybe a small turquoise one here. And then where? Here? Yeah, that would work for me. Should we do that? I think so. Let's do it. I want it to be top down since this one is that way. We're going to make this go this way. Which way are we going to curve it? Opposite. I want to make this kind of small. Even smaller than the black ones. I'm using the smallest side I have. I like that. Going off the edge like that. Cute. One more here. Which way do I go? This way? This way? Do I curve in over it or do I curve away from it? I should curve away from it, I guess. Let's just do that. What are we about? We're about 50 minutes in. Yeah, you see, you can really spend a lot of time doing stuff like this. It's a really great pastime. It's very calming. It's very chill. It's very relaxing. And it also gives you a chance to be creative in a different kind of way, Okay, I'm going to go get a little bit of paint. And I'm going to take this and try to make like a curve. Like that. That's good. Beautiful. That one came out so good and so easy. So yeah, I guess after you make 2 or 5 or 700 of them, you get a little bit better. Okay, now I think all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of dots around, but like very few. And we're going to call this one done. I think it's so cool. I've never done anything like this before. It's really cute. Okay, let's do some black dots. How big? We'll start with this 3mm. Okay, let's do some teal dots now. I think I'm going to do them smaller. We're going to go just to a 2.5, not that much smaller, but a bit. I think I want that bigger. I'm going to do a 3.5. I don't know why, but that spot's screaming for a bigger dot. Yeah, I like that. I'm actually going to keep this size. I am pretty much, we're going to do a really small black dot right here. And right here. That's it for black. And we're going to do a couple of small teal, one here. And one here. And here. All right, I'm done. Nothing more. Cool and different and something I've never done before. So I am very pleased. I consider you done. Now let's see. This is still wet in the centers, especially in the large dot. If I were to try to dot on top of it, I could get away with it if I use a lot of paint. But I'm going to let it sit for another little bit. I think we're going to probably just do one more of these. I might not do all 4. So what color should we do? Should we do the black one or red one first? What do you think? Well, I think I want to do the black one. And what colors do we want to do on it? This one is going to be, you know what if we do like a bit of a rainbow kind of, or gradient kind of dot explosion? What colors do I want to do? Okay, I have this lavender, so I want to do lavender. Why don't I just do lavender? I'm going to do, and I have a little bit of a light one as well. I already have it from another time. How much different is that? I don't know. I need to test it. Because I want them to have a contrast. Oh yeah, that's a big difference. That's good. That will do. Okay, I gotta fix my cleanup rag here because things are getting really messy in this area. And I might need to switch over to my next wet rag. I have 2. All right, we're gonna do a technique that I call the explosion of dots, which basically means we're just going to be putting a burst of different size dots using whatever colors we want and whatever dotting tools we want, and then we'll fill it in a little bit at the end. So I like to always start with the largest dots that I'm going to have on the project when I do a dot explosion. And I think we're going to go up to size 6 for this one. Okay, so all you're doing is randomly placing a dot anywhere you want. And we're just going to keep filling this whole thing up with different size dots. And it's going to look so cool when it's done. I don't think I want to go any more bigger. Just one back here. And that's it for you. Thank you. Number 6. Let's move down to 3.5. Maybe we'll go to 4. We'll go to 4. That's a good number. Okay. One over here. That's bueno. And now we'll move down to the 3, and then we're going to switch to the light purple for a bit. I'm not going for any small dots at this point because the small dots are what we're going to use later to fill things in. Right now we're looking for coverage, and the variety of all of these different dots is going to make like a texture. And then it's going to also have such a visual impact as well. So that's good. I'm leaving a lot of gaps on purpose so we can fill those in with the light. So let's do that. I'm going to go for, what was it? Was it the 6? Why don't I remember? It was literally 2 seconds ago. Yeah, that looks like a 6. I actually don't have a lot of room to put these big ones. So I actually think I changed my mind. I'm not going to use the 6 for this. We're going to start with the 4 for this one. And now you'll see that this color variation is going to make a really big difference to the end composition because it really gives it a lot of texture and depth and movement and stuff. I mean, it's pretty. Where else? I see a bubble that needs to be popped. Okie dokie. I think we're going to get ready to move on to small dots now. We've filled as much as we can with the large, I think. Or I'm going to try to at least. I think right here. That's great. And this is the last one. Beautiful. So that's it for you. Now we're going to go down to like the 3 millimeter. And this is what I'm going to stick with for a while because I can continue to keep getting smaller and smaller dots as I move. So let's try that. And what I mean by that is we're going to do a bit of like walking the dots where you're only filling your dotting tool one time with paint. And then we're going to dot multiple times. And each time we do that, the dot will be a little bit smaller because there'll be a little bit less paint. But I'm doing that in sporadic places so that we have just like a huge mixture. But I'm going to stop with this color actually, because I feel like it's starting to dominate a little bit. And I don't want that. I want the darker lavender to dominate, I think. I don't really know why. So I'm just looking for spots. And if I think I can fit a dot there, that's what it gets. Try not to overlap another dot if you can avoid it. If it happens, it happens. But if possible, try to avoid that. Okay. I think it's time to size down. Now, of course, you could stop at this point. You don't need to go any further. This is already a really lovely mix. It's really impactful. And because you can see so much of the black peeking through, it gives you a lot of contrast as well. So if this is where you would want to stop, you have my blessing. But I'm actually going to go in with smaller dots now and fill in more of that negative space. I do normally like leaving a lot of negative space. I mentioned that earlier. I like seeing the background color peek through, which I will still be able to do when I'm done this. But because what I'm trying to accomplish with this heart right now, where the design seems to be going, is we want it to jump as a lavender heart. So that means you want lavender to be the dominant color that a person sees, as opposed to the black background. That's the way I'm feeling about this project at this point, after not having any plan for this whatsoever, including what color I was going to use. But you see how you end up coming up with, a creative path to walk down as you allow yourself the opportunity to just think about, what do you like? Where do you want to put that dot? And what looks good to you? Because, you could be watching me do this going, wow, that is the ugliest heart I've ever seen. And ouch. But also, all right, what are you going to do, man? Different strokes for different folks. I promise you, we probably don't even buy the same flavor of ice cream when we go to an ice cream shop. I'll bet you. And it's still okay because it's still delicious. Ice cream. Maybe I'll have some ice cream later. That sounds like a nice treat. Hey, listen, if you're watching right now and you have some ice cream at home, go get yourself a little bit of ice cream. Put a smile on your face. You're welcome. Life's short. Eat the ice cream. Yum yums. Ooh, this is looking so pretty. Okay, I think I'm going to go back to the dark purple again. Yeah, let's go back to the dark purple now, or the darker purple. I need a little bit more. Okay, so again, I'm still using the top of this. Actually, this is a little bit big now, so I'm going to size down. We're going to go to the 1 millimeter dotting tool. Look, my hand's dirty. And I'm going to just go fill in and make sure that I'm dotting multiple times, so I'm getting really small dots as well. It's amazing how small these dots can be, eh? That spot is very dark purple. I need to put a light purple dot in there. Boop. What do you think, guys? Is this screaming lavender heart at you? Because that's what it's screaming at me. That's what it wanted to be. Now, I don't normally top dot when I do a dot explosion, but I kind of feel compelled to do that on this one. So if I have it sitting off to the side and I end up coming back to do top dots later, it would definitely be a first. Never done that before. And I think it would be really cool, actually. I feel like we might be nearing the end of this one. I'm going to do a tiny bit more using the smallest dotting tool I have, which is the 0.8 millimeter. And I'm going to use the light lavender for this. And then we're going to move on to red because I do want to do all 4 of them. I wasn't sure if I would, but why not? It's nice. And I actually, I'm going to go back at the very end. We're going to do top dots on everything that we want to do top dots on at the very, very end. And if you don't know what a top dot is, if you're new to dot painting, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a smaller dot that you place on top of a bigger dot, and it shows you the stacked color, which looks really cool. So it'd be like putting a small dot in this big one here. That would be a top dot. And they are a really great way to introduce some really dramatic color or to establish a pattern, which is what we're going to be doing with this one. Although I'm just going to do straight up pink on that one. Top dotted on all the big dots. Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. I could probably sit here for another 10 minutes putting dots in here, but it's not really necessary. This is looking really lovely and pretty and lavender. All right, I'm going to pause on you. You are currently at the finished point, but we may double dot. We'll see, or top dot. All right, guys, we have done 3 so far. Let's do this red one. What do we want to do? I think I want this one to be abstract as well. What if we just did, like, first of all, what colors do we want to use? I kind of feel like I want to use black and white. That sounds good to me. And I feel like I don't want to do swipes. I think I want to do kind of like walk the dots, but in... Do I want to do walk the dots, or do I want to just put lines, 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 lines? I think I want to do lines, lines, lines. Like girls, 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 but lines, lines, lines. Let's do that. I'm going to start with black. And I'm not sure if I'm going to make them all the same size or not. We'll see as we go, because as you can see, things unroll themselves or unravel themselves or reveal themselves as we go. We're going to be using the 2.0 millimeter dotting tool, and I'm going to go just like that. I hope that didn't hurt your ears. I often forget that I make so many stupid noises. That looks cool. I like it. I like the contrast. Again, you'll notice that I don't put my dots right up against each other. I don't want to run the risk of blob dots because two dots run into each other and they turn into a massive dot. You'll also notice that my dots are getting a little bit bigger, and that's because I have a buildup of paint on my dotting tool. So I'm going to clean that off a bit. And also the other factors we talked about, but right then it was definitely the paint. You see how much smaller that is? Now I'm going to make it more gradually small, but you kind of want to avoid this large out of nowhere dots. It's not quite straight, but it's okay. It's cute. I like it. What if we do two side by side? I do the exact same, not like against each other, but literally side by side. Do I want to do that? Do I like that idea? No. No. I think I'm going to go with a bigger dot now. We're going to do the 3 millimeter dot, and I'm going to go this way. I want that bigger. That's good. I can fit one more here. That's good. Cool. What next? Should we go straight down? What could I do over here? Maybe just across this corner. Yeah, that's cool. I'd like that. What size? Really small? Let's do really small. Let's do the 1 millimeter. We'll move on to white in a second, I think. Something to also keep in mind is you don't have to fill every bit of space with a dot. You can leave it minimal. I might not do a lot more on this one. I mean, a bit, but I mean, what? I'm going to do, I think, this size dot over here. Straight down. What if I go halvesies? What if I do 3 black dots and then 3 white dots, or like more dots going down white? So we start black and we end white. And then we'll put some white in other spots. That sounds pretty cool. Let's try that. Let's see how that looks. Hi there, Guadalupe. Thanks for joining me tonight. We're making some heart-shaped magnets. I don't know if these are going to be dry enough to actually glue the magnets on in the back afterwards, but I'll show you how I'm going to go about it so that you can do that when you've dried your... What probably would have been smarter would have been if I had glued the magnets on before I painted anything, but you know, I'm cute. I'm not always smart. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start right at the peak. And I'm going to go right up to this one, because I want these dots to be big. Do I even want to put a dot in between those? I don't know. I kind of like it. I think I will. But I want it to be the same size if I can make it. Oh, I like that. All right. So now we're going to do some white, which has been sitting here for a while. So let's see if you need a little stir. Yeah, you got gross. Usually I try not to use too much paint in one shot because then it gets crusty like this. But when I was dotting the white dots on that pink heart, I really needed the depth of having the extra paint on there. So I'm going to do a combination of stirring that really well, and I'm going to actually add a little bit of fresh paint on top as well. Is that going to do much? I don't know. How do I know? I think so. We'll see. Okay, so what are we going to do first? Should I go straight down with the white dots first? I'm not sure if I even want to do that anymore. I kind of feel like I want to do a white line. Do I want it straight down here? I kind of feel like that would look really cool. You know what? I am going to do that. So I've got paint on my fingers. But I'm kind of thinking I want to go up a size a tiny bit because this is a 3 and it's giving me, like I've been trying to stack it to get bigger dots when I could just move up to a different size. So we're going to do a 3.5 rod with white paint. And I'm going to start right up beside that black line as close as I can get. Oh yeah, that's bigger for sure. Now I'm off. That is obvious to me. Okay, so I can't go straight down because I won't get to the peak. So we're going to pivot literally, just like this. When you can't be sure if you're going to make something even, think to put ends first. Okay, so ends first, and then you can fill in the center. It'll make it a lot easier to be symmetrical and not run your dots into each other so that you're not worrying about if you're going to run off the edge. I'll put just a little bit more. Beautiful. There's a little white dot that came out of nowhere that nobody asked for. I don't know if that paint is still... if it's still wet, that black paint. Wow, that actually worked super well. And I did pull a little bit of the black paint, but it's okay because the dot didn't smear. That was a miracle. Okay, so what are we going to do with white now? Because we definitely need a contrast now so that we can tie those together. I'm thinking we do something that sized and going like this or like that. No, not again like that. This way makes the most sense. So let's do the 3 millimeter, but I'm not going to try to make it that big. I'll try to make it a little bit smaller. I don't want it to go in line with that. Maybe like this. That's a little too mimicky of that. What if it goes like this? How do I want it to go? Like that? But then that's identical to that. We just said no to that. This way? Like a straight line maybe. Yeah, let's do a straight line. Oh man, I really suck at straight lines. Let's pretend it's a straight line. Where will we start it? Here? Right beside that or between them? Let's do between them. So these turned out bigger than I had initially planned, but I like it, so I'm not going to stress about it. Okay, so we're in a pickle here because I'm for sure not going to be able to fit 2 dots here, I don't think, unless I go off the edge. So we're going to see. I might do either or. I don't have a problem going off the edge. And that's actually a really cute technique if you want it to do it. where you're basically dotting off the edge. So it gives you a half of a dot right up until the edge. But I don't actually think I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave that little gap. I like it. Okay. We need some skinny white dots, I think. And then I might double up a little bit on the black, and then I might call it a day. I don't want to do too much on this. I like the randomness of it. So let's start right down here. I'm using the top of my dotting tool, so I believe that to be a 1.25 millimeter, as I think I've said multiple times. You know what? One more dot and we stop this. I like it. What if I do a second white line, but right up here? Or do I do it underneath there? But then I'm going to have a lot of white near each other. I have a lot of black near each other. That's fine. Let's do that. These dots are going to be a little bit bigger because I used my 0.8 millimeter for that black line. But again, we don't have to go all the way. I could just go halfway. I kind of like that idea. Let me go halfway. One more dot. Yeah, me gusta. What else should we do? Maybe we do a little bit of black over here. I'm thinking maybe something here. I'm going to do a tiny, tiny white dot right here. Boop. What else should we do? I think I will do a little bit of black right in here. Well, you know what? Why don't I just do a boop? We'll just do a little boop. But what size of a boop? I think the top of it. A 1.25 boop. Boop. I like the random boop, but not all the same size. Let's do the 3 millimeter of black, and we'll put that like here. Like, boop. You know what I want to do is I think I want to do like a medium sized white. That's not really medium. Let's do a 2 millimeter white right here. And I'm going to leave that alone. I kind of feel like we're done. I don't want to do a lot more. I like the randomness of the dots. I love the contrast. I think we're going to I think we're done with this one. Now, this particular one, this red one, I'm not planning to top dot any of it. I like this look, this minimal, random, like geometric. I love it. I've never done anything like it, and it's cool. Mi piace. So let's go back, and we're going to do a couple of top dots, and then we are going to call it done. So we're going to start with this one because this is the one we did from the top. I've been waiting for it to dry so we could go do the top dots on it. So Tutti Frutti is the color of the background. And this is a little trick if you want to see like a different way to do something is it's basically the main color you want to use is your background, and then you use it as your foreground as well, but it has to be in a top dot form. What will give us a big one? This is 6. No, we need bigger than 6. Let's see. I've got a 9.5. Too big, too big. 6.5. Okay. Do I have a straight up 6? I mean, I do have it. Where it might be is, you know, your guess is as good as mine. It's not over here on the side, is it? It's on the side. Here we go. So here's a 6. That's a pretty nice size. I want it to be pretty big. So I'm going to go with my 6.5 actually. Okay. So we're going to start with the center top dot. Oh my goodness. I totally touched that. Thank God it was dry. I don't know why I touched it. Here we go. Beautiful. Wonderbar. All right, here we go. So now we're going to go around and just fill in top dots on all of these because we really want it to just be a pink mandala. Too big. So I want you to pay attention to the way I'm choosing my tools for my top dot. I'm basically taking my tool and putting it to the dot that I want. And then imagine now it's covered in paint. So it's going to be thicker than what you see on your dotting tool, but not by much. So this is a 2.0, and I think this is going to be the perfect size for these dots. And it is. Wonderful. Doesn't that look cool? Now you could totally come back after this is dry and do another little white dot in the center if you wanted to. You could totally do that. That would look cool. What size do we want to put in here? Let's see. Well, actually, this is the right size for these ones too, I think, right? I think so. So let's do them and we'll go back. Beautiful. We'll do these ones too. This could have used a bigger dotting tool. So I'm just going to put way more paint and just fill that dot in a bit. Now, I could totally go into all of these little white ones and put a dot on top. I'm debating about it. I just may. But first, let's do the big one. Will this be the good size? Maybe a 4, 3.5. Do I have a 3.5? Yeah. I think that should be good. Or is it going to be too big? Ooh, it might be too big, actually. Should I try it? I'll try it. Yeah, that's really big. Actually, I like that. I like that it's a smaller white ring on this one. So I'm going to actually push it so that I really get a small white ring on the outer dot. What I mean by that is this dotting tool is too big for this, but I'm only resting it as much as I want the size of the dot to be. Remember, we were talking about the amount of paint on your dotting tool and how much of the surfaces touch each other is what really impacts the size of your dot. So I'm making sure that it's only touching as much as I need it to, so that we get that really skinny white outer line. That looks so cool. No, this one needs to be bigger. You're not making bigger. You need more paint. That one got a little messy, but it's okay. All right. What do you think? It's cool, right? It gives it that little extra pop from behind, while still having this all pink all day kind of vibe, you know? So let's go ahead and move on to, I don't know. What do I want to do? Do I want to dot on those little ones too? Or should we leave them solid white? What do you think? I kind of feel like, I don't know. Because part of me really likes just the plain white. But then on the other hand, I really like this vibe of the pink on top. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do a pink dot. But I'm going to make it the smallest dot you ever did see. So I'm using my 0.8 millimeter. Boop. Beep. Yeah, that looks cool. And it's like very much a contrast to these big ones we did where we wanted to have that trim be really thin white. Whereas in this case, I'm making that trim be super large white and just a tiny dot of pink in the center. So again, all of these little things that I'm doing, they're about texture, they're about contrast, they're about, you know, variety and depth and whatnot. Do they work? Are they appropriate? Are they the right things to do? How should I know, guys? I'm not an art student. I just like dot painting. So I do it. It's fun. And you can make so many cool things. And it's such a budget-friendly hobby, dot painting. Like it's such a budget-friendly hobby. Okay, I consider this pretty much done. I just want to do one tiny pink dot on the inside of these white dots. Again, really tiny. So we have a big white ring around it. All right. Love it. Very pleased. That turned out really pretty. We're going to scoot this off to the side. Now, I am not intending to do top dots on either of these two. I feel like they stand alone and don't need anything more. But I do want to do top dots on this one only because I never have before. I've never done a top dot on like an explosion of dots, which is what I call this technique. So let's try it. Let's see what it looks like. Let me get my... Okay, this is going to be interesting. I think I might need a little bit more purple in here. Or rather, this is called lavender, this color, according to Deco Art. No, that's good. I don't need extra in there. It's fine. Okay, I think I'm going to start with all of the big dots, and we'll work our way down to smaller dots. 3.5, no. The 4, I think, is good. All right, let's do it. Oh, no, that's the dark. I have to pay attention because we're doing opposites here. So dark purple gets light purple on top. Now, I would highly recommend that you let your dots dry a little bit more than I've let these dry tonight. And that's just because this is a live stream and I want to be able to complete the project with you if possible. But I would recommend that you would wait. Let your first layer of dots dry really well, and then you can come back and top dot them later. But again, I really wanted to do this with you, so we're going to be rebellious. All right, what color, what size next? Let's do the 3 millimeter next. Again, we're going for the dark. You know what? This is too big, this 3 millimeter. I'm struggling. Let me move down to like a 2. The 2 should be good. to top dot those 3s. Now, do we need to do every single one? No, nor will I, but I will do a lot of them because I like this. I've never done it quite like this before, and I'm enjoying the depth of it. Do I have any other big ones left? That guy, I guess. Are you big? You're kind of small. You're all right. Yay. All right, let's go down to the even smaller dots. I'm going to use the top of this. Boop. Again, not all of them. Oh, I did that very aggressively. A little one here. Beep. There's a few here, so let's do yes to you and yes to you, but you guys nothing. Let's see, are there any others I want to do, or am I going to call it done? We got a bunch over here, so let's do a couple here. Like that. Maybe a couple over here. Beep, boop. No, that needs a little more. Okay, let's switch to the darker purple and see if we want to add any more, but I think that's all for the light. We're almost done, guys. We're in the home stretch. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this is, oh, let's see, I touched it and it's still soft, so I'm really going to have to cover that one up. Okay, that's a good size. So again, top dots are a really great way to give you a bit of extra dimension and depth. And it just also has a really a real way of looking just polished in comparison to if there wasn't top dots. At least that's the way I look at it. But I do use them sparingly for my projects for the most part because, I don't know, I guess because I like the impact of them, I try not to overuse it as much as I can so that I can enjoy them when I do use them. I think all of these big ones I do want to top dot. I feel like it really gives you a shot of color. The little ones, no, but these bigger ones, yeah. Okay, anybody else? I think we are in good shape. There's only one thing I want to dot on, and I'm going to flip this over for that. And it's this one right here. You're the last dot. That's all. That's all she wrote. How do you know when you're done dot painting something? How do you know? That is a genuine question. How do you know when you're done dot painting something? I'll tell you something. You need to start trusting the voice inside of you that tells you when you like something. And that's how you'll know when you're done. Because you'll have created it to the perfect degree, and there will be nothing that makes you question it. You're just going to be like, wow, I really like the way that turned out. What do you think? So we just made 4 beautiful heart-shaped magnets using wood shapes from Dollarama that came in a pack of like multiple shapes. I want to say it cost $2. We used a variety of different colors of paints, which are a one and done kind of purchase for the most part. You buy a couple of bottles and they'll last you a long time. And we did a variety of different types of things. We did a mandala inspired one. We did practicing of our swipes, giving us some really cool patterns. We did the explosion of dots in lavenders, which is just so pretty and like dramatic. And then we did like this random geometric varying sizes, black, white, red contrast. I love every single one of these. They all came out fantastic. Now, they're all wet, so I'm not going to do this now, but I am going to show you what I will do. I bought these magnets from Dollarama a lot. Oh, that almost hit my thing and I would have cried. A long time ago for $1.25. They're probably way more expensive than that at this point, like maybe $2, but you get so many of them. I've had this forever. That's how many you get. And these are very light. So you really only need a couple on the back and you'd be perfectly fine. So let me grab an empty, not wet heart. And now these do have a sticky back. I don't really trust the sticky back. I don't think it's going to be quite as effective as if we used perhaps a little bit of hot glue to stick them on. But that's it. Super duper simple. And then you just stick it to your refrigerator or to your filing cabinet or to your shelving unit or anything metal that can hold on to it. You just made yourself a handmade, completely unique, completely your own magnet. It's a lot of fun just for yourself or to give away as a gift, a little add-on to a gift. Super cute, right? I had a blast making these with you tonight. I hope you enjoyed making them with me. I am here every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, dot painting a bunch of beginner-friendly different projects. We're just about to wrap up the Sweetheart Season series with Valentine's Day on Saturday. I've got 2 more projects set up for this week. On Thursday, we're going to be doing a beautiful gnome Valentine's Day wreath. And then on Saturday, we're going to be making a layered Valentine's Day inspired candle. So join me both of those times or you're going to miss out because it's going to be a blast. And if you're interested in learning more about dot painting, check out my channel. I have a ton of beginner-friendly videos in these live formats where I talk your ear off and also in shorter 10 to 15 minute type tutorials with voiceovers where I still talk your ear off, but not for 2 hours. So check it out and consider telling a friend because I love dot painting. I love making wreaths. I love making candles, and I'm going to keep doing that. So come back and join me. We're going to have a great time. And don't forget to subscribe so that we can continue to get crafty together. Toodaloo.